So the global half anniversary has been announced. We got the rewards coming our way, so it's only a matter of time before, I guess, Itadori drops to start things off, and that is the one character which I haven't really spoken about. Of course, with the previous videos that I've uploaded, I've given my two takes on the Gojo and Sukuna, since those two are going to be the eye catchers, or the chase-worthy units, there we go. And then going furthermore into duping them out. Focus on Sukuna. I've already spoken about it, you guys can check that out. But yeah, the other anniversary character, which I feel like a lot of people aren't going to be showing love to, and I get it, you know, I do, is the boy Itadori. The yellow DPS character. The character that has high offensive power within the span of 3 turns, double hits in a singular turn, good damage to be dealt. At the very beginning I did class him as the best green, oh sorry, not the green, yellow DPS, but it seems that Team Gojo is still technically holding it down. But I will give Itadori his flowers in terms of how in the span of, as I've said, 3 turns, yeah, the power that he can push out, it's pretty disgusting. Pretty disgusting. So just to give you guys a quick little rundown on this Itadori, first skill, again, you're just doing regular damage, of course. You know, the second skill, once again, it's more so for the ultimate charge rate on what you want it for, so that way, because you want to get his ultimate as soon as possible, so that way you can get yourself into that zone state. And by doing that, of course, you will do that increase of damage by 517. You'll give yourself a Jujtsu stat increase of practically 30%. And then when you're doing additional, because of course, keep in mind, once the zone state is in effect, you can do 2 hits with this specific skill with the additional action. Yeah, increases critical hit rate by 40%, increases black flash rate by 15%. And if it's the second action, because you've got the first action, then you've got the second action will give you a damage that will increase of 30%. I tend to always go for the first action, so that way I can just maximize my secondary hit going into skill 3. So, kind of moving over to skill 3 now. Again, skill 3, I don't typically use it as much until I'm in the zone state, so, but if I did, again, you got that break damage increase, which is very nice, of course. Again, 520 damage, which is very nice, and then decreases zone damage received by 15%, so good coverage overall. And then once you're in that zone state, your break damage goes up to 250, which is huge, you know, again increasing that damage, which is beautiful. And then yeah, ultimate gauge charge is provided it is halved. Yeah, that's fine. So realistically, I like to use this first skill to set up the second skill, but for the most part, a lot of people just kind of pile on the third skill with the initial buffs that he already has. Yeah, the third skill, you're just going to get a lot out of it in terms of damage output. But again, the ultimate, fairly simple, 1500, which is pretty similar to the percentage mark as Gojo, of course, so just bear that in mind. And then that zone state is activated, of course. Zone outburst at the start of each turn. If zone state is activated, you know, you get that huge increase, so Jujtsu stat of 30%, black flash rate of 50%, increases own cursed energy consumption efficiency, recovers own cursed energy by 10. That's something that we need to consider off, because of course, that's one of the downsides, I will say, if you aren't setting up your Itadori correctly. Can't activate an ultimate skill, that's fine. Performs an additional action, that's the zone state in action. Reduces zone state count by 1 after the next turn, and then reduces own skill cursed energy cost by 5. If black flash is performed, recovers their own cursed energy by 5, which is nice. And then on top of that, he's got the casual vessel of Sukuna. So that's kind of like the brief look. Now what I'm going to do is I did do a run with this Itadori on the newest floors. As you guys know, on JP we've got 20 new floors, so this is floor 61. Alright, so here's floor 61. So obviously, like I said, 20 new floors are here now, so things are getting very interesting with these goddamn difficulties. But as you guys can see, team wise, decided to take Itadori. I will say that with obviously the recent yellow units that we had, Shoko and whatnot, of course, it is kind of making a team comp for him way more better in terms of the more buffs that we can apply, providing that survivability, and yeah, Itadori just being able to kind of be on the field for a lot longer to maximize those 3 additional turns of damage dealing. So obviously with Itadori, the game plan here is you want to get his ultimate, so that way you can go into the zone state, and that way you can maximize damage output, of course. Again, the buffs that he will apply from himself will be through his passives as well as his second skill if you choose to. Now most people tend to just kind of resort to the passives as well as the buffs that he's receiving, as well as the buffs that the enemy may have through the supporters, and they're just kind of piling on the third skill. Again, I do like to give my high chance for Black Flash and critical hit rate for Itadori through the second skill leading into the third skill, and then the final phase to do double up on the third skill. So right now we're just kind of setting it all up. Again, having Itadori means that you can run your Gojo, so that's the only downside for Team Gojo is obviously you can't have the anniversary Gojo. However, the team comp for Team Gojo is still disgusting in terms of the nuking power that that team possesses, and that alone honestly gives Gojo that spot of why most favor Team Gojo over Itadori, and rightfully so. Like, you really can't hate on it due to the fact that Team Gojo himself can stack up the 80% damage increase 3 times, give himself a 90% critical hit rate, alongside with Yuki's and whatever recollection card you've got from that, SSR Yaga providing that increase. I mean, well, yeah, that kind of proves you that Itadori is capable of doing the damage himself. But and then you got, of course, Megami, but you can also do the Megami thing with Itadori, of course. But again, the team comp that you can really push for with Gojo, with what he can apply himself as well as his team, is pretty disgusting. And again, the upside to Team Gojo is that AoE coverage, which a lot of people like to utilize, of course. In a single target form, like if there was only one singular boss, then Itadori will be eating, will be feasting, making quick light work, especially again with the team comp that we can apply. So again, right there, I like to apply my skill 2, so that way I can maximize and get those guaranteed hits from the third skill once all of that is in place. I mean, typically I could have recycled it, but at this given moment it's just kind of piling on that second skill to kind of maximize the damage. So from this I'm giving myself that break damage increase of 160, I think. Was it 2? No, it's 250, my bad. No, yeah, 160 is if I didn't apply the zone state. So yeah, 250 break and then 680 melee damage, of course, towards the enemy. And I think at this given moment the critical rate is at 50%, no, 60%, and then the final hit is at 80 because it's a 3-hitter. Black Flash is at 30% on the first and second hit, and then on the third hit it's a 60%. So that's why I do apply that second skill, just to kind of give that rate up slightly, of course. I will say that the critical damage 8% for the first and second hit, and then third hit is 100%, and then Black Flash 150% on the first and second hit, and then 200% on the third hit, of course. So again, a lot of damage to be piled up if you can get your Itadori done right, of course, given that right team comp. So again, it's between the two boys, they are very on par. Depending on the situation that you are, each will have their own limelight, of course. But in reality, Team Gojo, if you have him, you can comfortably, I hate saying this, but you can actually comfortably skip Itadori. But Itadori is still worth the pickup, and this is more so for my whales and dolphins out there. If you want to maximize that taijutsu coverage, if you want to maximize that high amount of damage, more so over Team Gojo in a single attacking boss phase, or even in a multiple attacking boss in this situation. Although I've already seen one JP player clear this with Team Gojo. I'm sure more have by now, but I've seen one, and obviously it does require that build up to do the ultimate, since that's what you're going to be benefiting from. But again, the plus side of the Itadori is that you've got the 3 turns. You've got the 3 turns to do big hit damages, so it adds up. So 7 mil right there, of course. Next turn, it feels like we've got a secondary ultimate, third ultimate, and then we'll go back to recycling, getting our ultimate, and then popping off again. So in that form, Itadori is just too disgusting. But yeah, he's still a fantastic character. It just alleviates that pressure of having to go for him now that Gojo is in the midst of things. Now, it doesn't take away from Gojo's third skill. That's the Jujutsu damage. I think it's his third skill. Yeah. Is it third skill? Yeah, it's a third skill. Because that alone does do damage. Like, you can comfortably, again, keeping in mind that you've got, let's say, the buffs and whatnot, you can still drop easy 1.5, 2 mil with that, even a little bit more. So it sucks. Like, Itadori is still a fantastic character, and again, for the dolphins and whales, I would really choose to say that to try and nab this man. But for the Dolphins, not Dolphins, sorry, for the low spenders, and especially for the free-to-play, if you've got Team Gojo, you're chilling. But just because of how each kit is working between Gojo as well as the Itadori, you can get more out of Gojo's kit in terms of maximizing that ult damage compared to Itadori. And unfortunately, you would think that, oh, with the additional 2 zone state, because if we're forgetting about every other support character and just utilizing the 2 characters themselves, the zone state damages outside of crits won't be up to par. I think you probably need a Black Flash. But again, the consistency rates on those for me have been kind of troublesome. But yeah, that's just what I've experienced, and yeah, how things have gone down for me, unfortunately. So yeah, that's the unfortunate truth of Itadori. But he's still a good character. He is still a good character.